All right, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I know that it's been a cool minute since I've done one, and I know I said that I had like a couple videos lined up. I did. I just got a little distracted with some stuff, and now I'm back. Today I just wanted to do a mock draft post. All this quarterback talk. With Bridgewater and Russell Wilson and all these all new upcoming things and the stories with Micah Parson. I know I did a mock draft I think a week or two ago. It hasn't really changed much, but I do move a couple players up and down the board. That if you guys watch other YouTubers, you might see them in different places, or people not as high on other people. But today I'm going to start real quick mock draft. I have number one Trevor Lawrence going to Jacksonville. Just consensus number one since the beginning of this year, maybe even 2 years ago, that he was going to be the number one overall pick in the next coming drafts. And he is. He's really good, really solid quarterback. I watched his entire pro day. He looks almost flawless in my opinion, but that's just me. He's the number one. And number two, the New York Jets. I like Justin Fields as my number two quarterback. I like him a lot more than, Zach Wilson and Trey Lance, and definitely Mac Jones and Kyle Trask. But I think he's just, a competitor, a true fighter. He's a guy that's going to come in and work. He's a guy that could come in and start day one. He's the only quarterback in this draft him and Trevor Lawrence are the only guys that can start day one in 2022. And number three, I was gonna mock them, Jamar Chase, but I think Penny Sewell is a much bigger and higher up prospect than than Jamar Chase. Penny Sewell's really good. He's a really solid tackle, super athletic dude. Can really play anywhere. I like him at tackle. Some people want to move him into left guard. I personally wouldn't. I like athletic tackles, and Penny Sewell goes number three to the Miami Dolphins. They need help. Number four is where Zach Wilson will go off the board. I think he can sit behind Matt Ryan in Atlanta for a year or two, really pick apart his brain, really learn from him, and he could probably be a top five quarterback in 2-3 years. Zach Wilson's really good. I just like Justin Fields starting day one. And number five, Jamar Chase, the number one receiver. I was actually going to do a video where after the college football championship game, where Devontae Smith, I actually thought I was going to put him at number one, but I decided to keep Jamar Chase at number one. I like Jamar Chase, a lot more size, a lot better of a pure number one outside perimeter guy. And I'll take Jamar Chase, about 6'1", 210 pounds, over any receiver in this draft. And number eight, we have Kyle Pitts, tight end, receiver, hybrid guy, whatever you want to call him. Out of Florida, 6'6", 240 pounds. I feel like he'll weigh in a little bit heavier, but really athletic. He could run in the low 4.4s, 4.43, 4.42. Super straight line speed, not as agile and as quick and fluid of an athlete as people think. I think he's really straight line speed, though. Great size, red zone target, mismatch. He's going to go top 10 for sure. And number seven, I have Detroit taking Jalen Waddle. He's, he was my number two coming in this year. He finishes number three, but in this draft, I'm going, into the minds of every GM and picking apart what I like. And I would be doing a fantasy mock draft on what I would do. I like doing no trade mock drafts because it's just less mess to deal with. Because if you move up 5 spots, you're going to be giving up your first, maybe your fourth, a sixth, and a seventh, and maybe a backup player. It's just too much value to go over and just not enough time. Jalen Waddle goes number 7. I'll explain why a little bit, because I don't think they're going to bring back Marvin Jones unless they already did. I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with Detroit Lions football, but I know they're going to sign Kenny Golladay. He's a top 12, top 10 receiver at any given point in the league. And you just need a guy that could stretch the field vertically. Yes, Kenny Golladay has great size, a 6'4", jump ball receiver, but he just doesn't have that game-changing speed that Jalen Waddle does. And I think Jalen Waddle does have game-changing speed, and I do think that's why Detroit's going to bring him in. You just need someone that's going to complement the big body physicality of Kenny Golladay, and that's going to be a very finesse, agile, fast receiver in Jalen Waddle. Number 8, as much as I hate mocking Trey Lance here, I just think that he's going to go here and he's going to sit behind Bridgewater for a year, and he's going to start next year, could take the league by storm like Patrick Mahomes. Not going to compare him yet, but he could be up in that category. Number 9, Patrick Surtain over Caleb Farley. Caleb Farley goes number 10 overall to the Dallas Cowboys. Back-to-back corners taken. These are it was 1A and 1B for me, Surtain and Farley, but now it's more 1 and 2, Surtain and Farley. I like Surtain. He's good size, but Farley's a lot bigger at 6'2", 207 pounds. Surtain's about 6'1", 200 pounds. Both very physical, good at the line of scrimmage. But I think Patrick Surtain is going to be more of a technician than Caleb Farley. Number 10, Caleb Farley. People are like thinking this guy's going to run sub 4.4. He's going to jump 40 plus inches. And look, I know that, he on film, he flashes that athleticism. But, when it comes down to it, his frame and his body type just does not allow those type of stat breaking stats, where he's going to run a sub 4.4, jump 40. A 6'2", 210-pound corner is not going to run sub 4.4. He's not going to jump 40 out the box, and he's not going to put up phenomenal testing numbers. Yes, he's very good on the field and in film, but when it comes to testing, he's not going to test as great as some of these other football guys, football YouTube guys are going to expect him to. He's not going to run 4.38, not going to jump 41 inches out the box. He's not going to bench press 25 times. No, he's going to run in the 4.5s, low 4.5s, probably jump at 36, 38. Probably won't even put up more than 15 on the bench. He's a very good corner. He's just not as athletically gifted as people think he is. And number 11, the fall of Devonta Smith comes far enough. You just need that vertical guy, and Devonta Smith isn't as vertical as Jalen Waddle talent-wise, but he's a guy that can stretch the field, great route running, great speed, great fluidity. He falls far enough. Number 11, New York needs a playmaker. Number 12, this would be a perfect trade-out scenario if there were trades. I do not want to do a trade mock draft. Like I said, it's just too much value compensation to do. But Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle out of Northwestern. I know they don't really need tackle, but I don't think Trent Williams is worth bringing back. And if you do, Rashawn Slater could kick inside. He's only about 6'3", 305 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. Really athletic guy, long arms, but he's just a little short in stature. That's why I think some teams have him at guard flexibility. And number 13, the Los Angeles Chargers go tackle. They're in dire need of one. It's just next best tackle. Christian Darris out of Virginia Tech. Nothing much need to say. He's my number 3 tackle on the board. And in another no-trade situation, Minnesota Vikings need some offensive line help. Next best offensive line, Elijah Vera Tucker. He's not a top 20 pick for me, but in a no-trade mock draft where this team needs offensive line help, Elijah Vera Tucker can play tackle and guard. He's going to be a guard at the next level. And number 15, I know this is a little rich for some people, but Kadarius Toney in a no-trade mock draft to New England. They are in dire need of a vertical playmaker. And Kadarius Toney is that guy. He's a guy that's super fluid, super fast, super athletic, great route running, great hands. He's just a guy that, a little down on the boards because he is a little bit lesser of a sample size, a little bit lesser size. But I think in last year's draft and in next year's draft, I think he would be a top 15 pick. And Kadarius Toney goes 15 to New England, who's in dire need of a playmaker. Number 16, the Arizona Cardinals select Samuel Cosmi. He was my number 1 tackle coming into he was my number 2 tackle coming into this draft behind Penei Sewell. Falls to the number 4 tackle taken in the draft. I know that that's a little far if you think he's your number 2. He's a really good tackle. No trade scenario, he is going to go a little higher. So he's going to go top 20. I want to take him top 26 in a real life mock draft, in the real draft. But, 16 overall, Arizona needs an offensive lineman. At 6'7", 310 pounds. He could kick in, he could kick inside to guard, but he's going to play true tackle. Arizona needs a tackle. They took a tackle last year. I forgot, he was out of Houston. It was Austin Jackson and someone else. I forgot. Let's get out of Houston. Really good. But these two guys are going to pair up and battle for starting positions next year. And number 17, the fall of Micah Parsons has fallen. He's a guy that said he's an edge rusher at heart, and I don't doubt it. He could play off-ball linebackers, about 6'4", 246, I believe. He has edge and off-ball linebacker flexibility with size, speed, and strength. Great instincts. There's just some off-the-field hazing stuff where his name was mentioned. Now what I hear is mentioned, not confirmed, but his name was mentioned in those hazing scandals. We will see farther on in the draft process. Number 18, like I said, they're not going to take a receiver because they could take a great receiver as well in Rashad Bateman. Oh, I just banged my desk, sorry. In Rashad Bateman, my opinion, I know it's going to sound kind of crazy, but Rashad Bateman reminds me of Devontae Adams, and you just know how elite Devontae Adams is in the red zone and as a route runner. And I think Rashad Bateman has Devontae Adams upside, so that's why you take him 18 overall. Um, and like I said, you just need an opposite guy. I took Jalen Waddle in Detroit because of a 6'4" Kenny Galladay. I took Devontae Smith because they need that vertical stretcher when they have Golden Tate, Darius Slayton, and Sterling Shepard, who are guys that can, move the ball across the field horizontally. And, now Rashad Bateman, or Kadarius Toney, a guy that could stretch the field vertically when all they have are guys that could stretch the field horizontally with, Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry, who I think can really come out into his third year in this league. I think he's going to be a 900-yard receiver. Watch out. Number 19, Washington needs to take another playmaker and, again, another opposite style playmaker. Terry McLaurin is 5'11", really scatty, really twitchy, fast, vertical guy. Now is when you need a guy who can stretch the field horizontally. That's what a 6'4", slot receiver in Terrace Marshall can do for you. He played that Justin Jefferson role in LSU this year, just slot, incredible guy. Catches are up, yards are up, touchdowns are up. He's just a playmaker out of the slot. And I think he could really, really work in Washington if they could get that quarterback situation handled. And number 20, in a no-trade scenario, I would love to trade down. But in a no-trade scenario, I'm not going to take Mac Jones here at 20, too rich for my blood. Would not touch him in the top 40 picks. But Christian Barmore out of Alabama, it's the next best player. He's a pass rusher, true and true. He could play lineup outside at 5 tech and just destroy offensive tackles with power. And he could play 3 tech and just beat guards with speed. And he could play nose and just bull rush a center into his quarterback's lap. He's played everything. Incredible run stuffer, but his pass rush is where I really, really start to get to like Christian Barmore more. In number 21, the Indianapolis Colts take the next best corner, J.C. Horn. I'm not the biggest fan of J.C. Horn, but I do think Indianapolis needs corner. Rock Ya-Sin is a good physical corner, but he just doesn't have that long speed to stick with true number ones like DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, DK Metcalf, Julio Jones, Devontae Adams. He can't stick with those guys. And, J.C. Horn is not the best corner, like I said, but he's definitely going to be a day one starter if you take him 21 overall. Xavier Rhodes played great last year. He's not going to come back. A little too old for my blood. I think he's 31 or 30, 31 or 30, a little rich for me. Re-signing a, older corner who had a really good season after 3 bad years before that Pro Bowl. Just next best corner. Number 22, I know this is a surprise to see Kwity Paye fall this far, but he does. The run on corners, tackles, and receivers go in the top 20 for me in this mock draft. Kwity Paye comes off the board here at 22 to Tennessee. They had the worst pass rush this year. I've never seen a worse pass rush. I thought Seattle had a bad pass rush this year in the first 9 games. This team had a bad pass rush in all 16 games, and if I was a Tennessee Titan fan, I wouldn't turn off the TV every time they're on defense. Kwity Paye, best pass rusher on the board. Take him. He's gonna be a 9, 10, 11 sack guy for a decade and a half. Number 23, New York Jets. Like I said, they just need playmaker. Rondale Moore is that guy. He can line him up in the slot and be a machine. Line him up outside, vertical threat. Line up in the backfield. He's a mismatch on linebackers. He's just everything. A little lighter than I thought coming in. I thought he was going to weigh in at about 190, 195 at 5'10". He's about 180 at 5'10", a little lighter on his feet, like I said, than I like. But Rondale Moore's a playmaker. Did miss a few games in the past couple seasons, but when he's on the field, he's electric. Number 24, it's just next best offensive lineman, and Tevin Jenkins is that guy at Oklahoma State for the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 24 overall. He looks like a Steeler. If you don't know what he looks like, look up Tevin Jenkins at Oklahoma State. He just looks like a Steeler with that silver and black. He could get the job done. Need offensive line help, but it's just next best thing. Tackle. You could kick him inside, or you could kick someone else inside. And number 25, Asante Samuel Jr. from Florida State, corner, comes off the board. His dad, Asante Samuel, played for the Eagles, Falcons, and Patriots, respectively. Really good corner. He's not as physical as his dad, but like I said, he's his own player. the stature and the athleticism is the same. He's just not as physical. Sante Samuel, 5'9", 180 some pounds, was just out here bodying 6'4" receivers on the line of scrimmage. Well, Sante Samuel Jr. is a little bit of a finesse guy. A lot of people see him playing pure slot and nickel corner. I don't think so. I think he could play outside. And I know Jacksonville just took CJ Henderson a year ago, number 9 overall, but Henderson's more of that in your face corner who can press you really good, while Sante Samuel Jr. is more of that, playing 5, 6, 7 yards off, let the play develop in front of me, and then make a play with my athleticism. But Sante Samuel Jr., really good corner, 25th overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And number 26, the Cleveland Browns take Gregory Rousseau. He's fallen far enough as well. And, a 6'7", 260-pound, edge rusher who's only 21, who's going to have 3-4 years to develop into that true pass rusher. Very scary opposite of Myles Garrett. This could be a defense to watch out for the next decade. And number 27, a lot of people don't know who this is if you're new to like football or mock draft communities. But Jalen Phillips is a guy that really, really high upside, high floor, high upside. But he is a high risk with concussion injuries. He was forced to retire at UCLA a year ago because of concussions. Decided to unretire and transfer to Miami. Played here this year. Didn't really develop until the second half of the season, but you could definitely tell he's got pass rush upside. And, a Baltimore, a team that really, isn't in dire need of a pass rusher, but I would not take a receiver. I like Duvernay. I like Marquise Brown, and I like Miles Boykin. I think that tandem of trios, including 2 good tight ends, can really take you very far. I would just take next best defensive player. And I like Azeez Ojulari a little bit more than Jalen Phillips, but Jalen Phillips just looks like a Baltimore Raven to me. And Azeez Ojulari comes off the board to the New Orleans Saints. Guy I was just talking about. A little undersized, only about 6'3", 235 pounds. More of an off-ball linebacker size. But he's a guy that, he has some speed on the edge. And I think New Orleans, with such power in the box, I think they need a guy with true speed. Marcus Davenport, I thought he was going to come in at 6'7", 265 pounds, going to be a real edge threat. But honestly, I like him a little bit more playing an inside technique, a shade inside at the 4, inside the tackle. And I think Azeez Ojulari can play outside, pairing with Trey Hendrickson, who had 13 and a half sacks last year, and as well as Marcus Davenport, who I just talked about. Really good speed. They need speed on the edge, and I think they could take a pick here in Azeez Ojulari. Number 29 overall, the Green Bay Packers take Liam Eichenberg, out of Notre Dame. He just looks, he just sounds and looks like a Packer. That's just it. They just, they aren't in dire need of tackle, but Bakhtiari is not getting any younger and he's not getting any healthier. And, I really just think they just need a guy who can just plug and play when he has to. Yes, I know in the first round is a little bit of a reach, but Eichenberg is a guy that, if you don't want to re-sign Bakhtiari after his extension, you could just plug and play in him in a year or two, and he could just be a really solid starter. Number 30, Buffalo Bills. I know a lot of people who are, new to the, mock draft scene are just falling in love with this guy named Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, JOK out of Notre Dame. A more hybrid tweener linebacker safety guy, plays in the box, plays outside in the slot, can play true safety. He plays everywhere. Really electric. But I think that his stock is going to fall just because of his style of play. You could draft a guy just like him late in the 3rd round and he'll start day 1. So what makes him so special? What makes him so special is he has a lot of film at safety and linebacker. So that's the only reason why he falls this far. And the only reason why he's taken in the 1st round is because he has those both kind of tapes. He has safety tape and he has linebacker tape. And I think that's going to help. I don't think he's going to get taken top 20. He could fall this far in real life, but I feel like a team's going to fall in love with him and reach a little bit in the top 20. I don't doubt that. But realistically, I would not take him top 25 in this draft. Love him. Day 1 starter on 30 NFL teams, but he's just not a guy that I would take personally. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, super athletic, explosive, but would not take him top 25. And now these are the only 2 real luxury picks in this draft. And it is Kansas City, number 31 overall, taking Nick Bolton, linebacker out of Missouri. Nick Bolton, if you guys don't know, he's a really athletic, solid, stocky built linebacker who, in my opinion, is the second or first best cover linebacker, depending on how you look at Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And Nick Bolton, I think he's a guy that could pair up really well with Willie Gay Jr., a linebacker that Kansas City took in the second round last year. Super athletic, strong downhill tackler. And then now you get a super athletic off-ball cover linebacker, Nick Bolton, and you could just run nickel defense all day. And number 32, the reigning champs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, take a luxury pick, Levi Onwuzurike out of Washington. He opted out this year, but his film a year ago does not shy me away from his upside. Really good run stuffer, but it's that pass rush flexibility that Christian Barmore has that I like in Levi Onwuzurike. He's about 6'3", 290 pounds. He could play. He's played nose a lot at Washington, but he's also played 3-tech and 5-tech. And actually, I like him at 5-tech on third and long on passing downs because he adds a little bit of power off the edge to create that tempo and pick up that sense of urgency from the quarterback. So I think power off the edge on third down and pass rush and run stopping ability on the nose on first and seconds is what he'll play in Tampa Bay, especially with an aging pass rush duo with Shaquille Barrett, who's surprisingly 28, turning 29, and Jason Pierre-Paul, who's pretty young, 32, who's been playing in this league for over a decade. So, he's a guy that is going to come in and play alongside Vita Vea and, just really rotate along the line and then end up taking over, my opinion, the number one pass rush role at 295 pounds in 2-3 years. And that is my, 2021 mock draft as of the 24th of February. I will be recording this on a Wednesday and uploading it on Thursday afternoon. So, a like, share, and subscribe will go a long way. I am looking forward to, doing another video with my brother Julian. I got to get, him on here. I got to trying to get another new people on here. If you want to get on the podcast, want to get on the episode, just let me know. Hit me up. I'll be linking my personal and the 206 to 559 football podcast Instagram in the description below. I do want to thank you guys. I do want to start doing 2 or 3 videos a week of mock drafts, trade mock drafts, and player rankings. I'm doing this, with just as much free time as I can. So, I'm really into it or I'm really not. And, the past couple of weeks, I've just been really cold on football content, just really trying to watch and just absorb all these other, these other guys, breakdowns and, just watching a lot of film, looking at a lot of stats. I'm just trying to, get this thing really kickstarted. And, I just want to thank you guys for all the support and supports and likes and subscribes. And, I'm just really trying to kickstart this thing so I could do this full time. And, this is my mock draft as of February 24th, 2021. There's going to be a lot more draft content coming up in the following weeks, going up to pro days and the combine. So listen in, tune in. Like I said before, it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse, but, a like, share, and subscribe will mean a lot. And, thank you guys for tuning in and watching. Appreciate it.